I can hardly believe these words are about to come out of my mouth, but Broncos Country, we have reason to hope again. We're no longer tanking for Caleb Williams. I got 5 reasons why I think the Broncos season is maybe far from over. I can't believe the roller coaster of emotion that I have done in just a week, and you could say that it was just the Packers, but I think we had a lot of reasons to hope in that game last week, and we're going to break them down in this video. If you're new to this channel, I'm Ben, and I break down all the Denver sports, breaking down the Broncos versus the Packers, the reason to hope going into this week. So my first reason to find hope in the Broncos season this year is that I do not remember a year where there has been so much parity, where you could go from being the best team in the league to losing to a team that you have no business losing to. I remember the Buffalo Bills losing to the Jaguars, or, everyone was talking about how the Lions were going to the Super Bowl and they get just absolutely trounced by Baltimore. Everyone's talking about how the Vikings are going to ship out Kirk Cousins, and then the Vikings beat the 49ers. Like, it's crazy, crazy town. And so it is way too early to say that the Broncos are out of it. I think my second reason is, if you completely just wipe your mind of all of the Nathaniel Hackett era last year and all the trauma we experienced with that, and you just go back 2 years ago, and imagine that I told you that, hey, we are going to have Russell Wilson and Sean Payton as his coach. You'd be like, yeah, sign me up. And then I said, oh, and on top of that, we also have the second coming of Champ Bailey, Pat Surtain. And you'd be like, yeah, and we'll also spend more money on receivers than any other team in the league. You'd be like, yeah, sign me up. So I think that is just, our roster has the pieces. And if we could truly forget last year and Russell Wilson and just look at this year for what it is, I think we'd be a little more hopeful. Third reason to hope is that if you look at Sean Payton, he's had some pretty slow starts in his career. You can check on the screen that multiple times in his career, he started 0-2, 0-3, and then made the playoffs. And that is just like a statistical outlier. So the fact that he started 0-2 and then made the playoffs, that's amazing. Next reason to hope is that if all this time we talk about how the Broncos don't have a culture of winning anymore, and then I just looked at Sunday, and I looked at teams who truly didn't have a culture of winning, who kind of phoned it in, and you see the Raiders. If you look at the Raiders last week against the Bears, that was a pathetic effort. I couldn't even keep that on my TV because it was just clear they were not trying. They have given up on Josh McDaniels, and say what you want about Sean Payton, the Broncos clearly have not given up on him. And one of the coolest things that I saw in this game that absolutely shocked me was Jerry Jeudy's attitude. So a lot has been said on the media about how Jerry Jeudy is a me guy or a stats guy, and people are highlighting him dancing in front of Steve Smith and saying he's a locker room, not a guy you want in your locker room. He doesn't raise all boats. But check out this screen grab of when he's wide open, but the ball goes to Courtland Sutton. And look at him be the first person to celebrate with Courtland Sutton, to want good from him. And that to me was just an amazing sign that, hey, if this guy who everyone's saying is a drag on the whole locker room, we need to shine him up and ship him out. If he is cheering for other teammates, we know a high tide raises all ships. And that's really encouraging to see that guys have not given up on the season. We easily could have phoned that in this week and let the Packers just come to town with all those cheeseheads and walk out with a win, but we didn't. And some of our players who we've given or say have a bad reputation actually showed up and totally surprised me. So if that keeps going for a couple of weeks, we might get a Jerry Jeudy jersey on that wall, because I went from thinking we need to trade him for a 5th or a 6th round pick to being why would we get rid of that guy? So if you take a look here, look at how crisp he's still running routes into the fourth quarter. That's amazing. Next thing is, it's easy to look at the score and just see hey, we barely squeaked out a win against a pretty bad Packers team. But I think the score doesn't tell the whole story. If you look at how insane our defense played, we played lights out. And 2 of Love's touchdowns, I'm going to break down here on the screen for you, are probably the most garbage scores I've ever seen in my life. So this first one we're going to break down here is look at the only way that Love throws his first touchdown. We're playing lights out defense, holding them out of the end zone, no touchdowns. The only way he scores a touchdown is throwing it so far behind his receiver that it gets tipped to the next guy. I know everyone in the NFL practices tip drill and all that kind of stuff, but like even if you're a Packers fan, you can't say that wasn't absolute garbage. So right there, that's 3 points they should not have had. And then the one that makes me furious is looking at Sir Patrick Surtain II, our boy. Just love us some PS2. And all the talk about trading him needs to stop because he is unreal. Unless you're getting 3 first-round picks for him, he's built different, as the kids would say. But checking out this play right here, he clearly intercepts his ball. A lot of people, even on the broadcast, are saying that the tie goes to the defense, or the tie goes to the offense. That's definitely not the rule. The rule is the first person to get 2 feet in bounds, 2 feet down in bounds, gets the possession. And obviously, as you take a look on the screen, you can see Pat Surtain had 2 feet down before the Packers tight end did. So, and even if that's not an interception, I think Pat Surtain realizes, hey, if it's going to be that close in the future, maybe I just bat that ball down. But right there's an extra 7 points that the Packers should not have had. So I think just right there, we're 10 points that these guys shouldn't have had. That's reason to hope that, we settled for 3 field goals and kind of sputtered out of control and had some red zone penalties. But we've been pretty good in the red zone this year, especially early on in the game. If you look at our breakdown of pass to run, super, super encouraged by that. I think Sean Payton's getting back to his roots there. Looking at the box score, we're pretty close to a 50-50 split in our runs and passes, and that's exactly what we need to be for Russell Wilson to be successful. All of that, extreme reason to hope. And then lastly, for the past few years, really since Peyton Manning, PFM has left the Broncos, we have been good on defense and we've struggled on offense. And that's why we were thrilled to death when we got Russell Wilson. And so it's been such an anomaly this year to let the Dolphins drop 70 points on us. And we're like, hey, we don't have Bradley Chubb anymore, but otherwise we have most of the same players. We have the best safety in the league in Justin Simmons. We have some pretty good edge rushers. Bonito is a beast. We have some good linebackers. So it's curious that we let a team drop 70 on us. Since that happened, we've been pretty incredible, especially these past 2 weeks, looking at our red zone defense to hold Pat Mahomes to 19 points at home with T-Swift in the crowd. He wanted to show out for that on a short week where we didn't get to prepare for their stuff. None of their trick plays worked. And then again this week, holding the Packers to 19 points when in all reality, it should have been under 10 points, right? If we take off that those garbage plays we talked about from Jordan Love. So overall, Broncos country, let's be hopeful again, because I guess how is it even exciting to cheer for a team if there is no hope? We can be hopeful again. I also don't think Caleb Williams is that great, maybe. So let's not tank for Williams. Let's make the playoffs. And if you like this video, subscribe. We're going to be talking about Broncos all season long. I'll be taking us all the way to the playoffs where we're going to watch the Broncos this year. Bet on it. All right, Broncos country, let's ride.